What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content daily. We also stream over on Twitch at This Is Aftersound, so come by and say hello. All right, I had a little thought today that's just kind of been swimming around my head, and I wanted to start a conversation, discuss it a little bit here, and then maybe get your feedback. Now, let me caveat this and say there's no inside information. There's nothing of this is literally just pure speculation from my brain and nothing else. I'm honestly telling you that. But I am looking at where the market is right now and what the general plan, right? If I was sitting on the board, or if I was in one of those top leader meetings, or sorry, team leader meetings, whatever it is, at Splinterlands, like with Aggroed and Yabamat, how would I be looking at the current state of the game? Now, I'm not going to get into the rewards economy because they're working on that, and that is, hopefully going to come in and change things. My perspective for this video is primarily like, where are we right now in the phase? Like, what phase are we in for Splinterlands as a game that is growing, right? And it has grown. If you just look at the 1 year chart, we're up crazy amounts compared to where we were last year and where we can potentially be going. So I'm going to base this on a couple of things here. Mainly, the pack and card amounts that were issued with each of the different editions that came out. Now, I don't even want to go as far back as like alpha and beta. I think there's like 300,000 alpha packs, 900,000 beta packs, and then you had 1.5 million untamed packs, right? So 300 to 900, that's a 3x. Beta to untamed is roughly what? It's not even like, it's just over 50%. It's about a 60% increase, right? So you go from 300% increase to a 60% increase to now we've done 1,000% increase because we've essentially done a 10x going from Untamed to Chaos Legion. Now, the big increase between alpha and beta, I'm not going to really count that. Alpha was just the starting point, and beta was really where the game first found its stride. And then, beta going into Untamed, there wasn't a huge growth in player base at the time. So therefore, there wasn't a need for a larger amount of cards. But going from Untamed to Chaos Legion, and I think the craziness that ensued starting in the summer of last year, maybe even a little bit before the summer, where the player base just exploded exponentially. The way that I'm looking at it now, right? And if I'm doing this on the perspective if I was on the team. Okay, so we're in this place where we're gonna set up modern and wild format. And you're going to have wild format where you can play anything, and modern format is really where you want the competitive nature to be, right? The competitive aspect to be, because what you want is for the newest cards to be able to be played by the new players, right? People who come in and are willing to invest in cards and level up and play at whatever league that they're trying to get into. They're the ones that are going to come in. And so therefore, there's a lot of focus, for example, on the upcoming legendary summoners, and for those to be at par or maybe even potentially better than the legendary summoners of Untamed, which is what we're looking at right now. So that being said, how would I be looking at it? And I think the main thing that comes to my mind is we are in a weird transitional phase when it comes to where modern format will be, right? Wild format is always going to be fun. And it's always going to include all the cards, right? So it's going to be there, and it's going to have that aspect because we're essentially playing wild format now. But in the future, I do expect many of the tournaments, for example, many of the maybe like esports competitions and all that stuff to really heavily focus on modern format, primarily because that's where most of the players will be able to play, right? If you're new to the game, it's hard to play, against a lot of the older cards. I've been complaining about it for a while, which is why I've been looking forward to modern format. So with that being said, again, top-down perspective, where are we at right now? We're in this weird transitional phase where modern format is comprised of two expansions, one of which is 10 times the amount of cards that the previous one was. So when it comes to the next expansion, which we already know is at least tentatively named Rebellion, or at least been announced as Rebellion, when it comes to that, I expect that to be on par with Chaos Legion, either at par or maybe similar, right? Especially if this is going to come out in the next year, maybe year and a half, based on when Chaos Legion finishes selling or sells out. And so when that comes out, and when we have those two expansions comprising of modern format, that to me is when I feel there will be this huge push to have, like, okay, now we have cards available. The expansions aren't fully sold out. It's whatever the case is, like, but there's so many more Chaos Legion cards than there are Untamed cards. So even in modern format right now, so many people are priced out. And if we want to go back, like I said, if you want to go back and look at like alpha and beta, what's the purpose of alpha and beta outside of providing a tremendous amount of collection power and, obviously dominating in wild format. But the other thing for alpha and beta cards moving forward, and this is a big unknown right now, but there's been a lot of speculation, is land, right? You are going to need monsters to work land, and ideally collection power is going to play a role in that. So if you have land, if you're planning to get land, then maybe these cards are worth looking into. But if not, and even if you do have land like myself, but are only interested in playing, modern format onwards, like I'm priced out, and I'm sure many, many others are priced out of like the alpha and beta cards. So to be able to level these guys up all the way to gold, which is the league that I'm currently playing in, I would rather take, $600 and not spend it on a level 1 Valnamore and spend it on leveling up, maxing out my deck for gold or getting into Diamond Plus and all of that, right? So that's where my head is at right now. That's where my thinking is at, if that makes sense from, like I said, a top-down perspective. So, there's a lot of excitement for what's coming with Splinterlands. And I guess what I'm trying to preach is a little more patience, because I don't feel like the best or like hitting our stride is going to happen like even when we get modern and wild format, because if you look at the leaderboards today, they're dominated by people who have the Untamed Summoners, right? Just because the Untamed Summoners are so freaking powerful. Now, and also, actually, at this point in time, they're even dominated by the Alpha and Beta legendary summoners too. So once modern format comes out, obviously we lose the beta summoners, but looking across the board here, like there's less than 2,000 of each of these summoners. And even just looking at the top 3, I mean, these are the ones that tend to be very overpowered, especially in bronze, silver, maybe even gold as well. Actually, I'm sure in Diamond Plus too, right? Just because I haven't played in there, so it's not like I keep running across people, but I'm playing in like the middle of gold right now. And I don't come across these cards as much because I'm assuming they're at where the leaderboards are at, for example, right? So looking at this and like, obviously I'm the one, I've been preaching like you got to have a long-term perspective if you're playing this game. And again, it's like a game / investment. So there's this tricky fine line that we're all somewhat walking. But I think it's important to understand where we're at from a growth perspective on the game. And that's why I'm trying to say, like, obviously we know that this is 10x what Untamed was. But even within modern format, I think there's going to be a lot of people really disillusioned or disappointed or discouraged because of the fact that it's just difficult to go up against a lot of these older cards when only less than 2,000 people are going to have them and they're going to dominate. The only thing that would be helpful is if the Chaos Legion summoners are just as, if not more powerful than these. And there's a case to be made that could essentially come true, right? So, but we don't have that information yet. And again, even if Chaos Legion summoners are that powerful, there are still a lot of untamed monsters. A lot of untamed monsters, legendary monsters across the board, whatever it is. Like, let's go back to monsters. So obviously Kron, right? Kron, Phantom of the Abyss, like, a lot of people aren't going to be paying like $1,000 plus in order to max out these cards. That's just not going to happen. Or even several $100s to get them maxed for silver or gold. Because at the end of the day, right, like what is the incentive to stay in a league? You always want to be stretching higher because everybody's goal, at least in my opinion, should be trying to get to champion at some point, right? Like we all want to be competing at the highest levels. Yes, it's fine to be playing at whatever level you have right now. And sure, stay in your lane. You don't want to get destroyed by leveling up too quickly or jumping a league too quickly before you have the cards available. But that just goes to my point where it's just like, well, nobody's going to have these cards. Nobody's going to be able to compete with Kron and Magnor and Cornelius and Phantom, right? Like all of these cards are going to be incredibly dominant at those levels. And therefore, you know, it will make it tough even once modern format comes around. So with that being said, when does Rebellion come out? I don't know. I have no idea. But I would imagine it's not going to come out until the Chaos Legion packs completely sell out. Of which, hey, we're less than 200K away from the Carnage Titan airdrop. So that's pretty cool. But if we continue at the rate that we are without a major push this year, and I'm really trying to be conservative, right? Because I am nervous about not just the game, but like the world in general. Macro global economy, there's conflict happening. It's, you know, we're coming out of a pandemic. There's a lot of things happening that, you know, that would fight very much a crypto bull run. Like people wouldn't be excited about a crypto bull run when, you know, there's bombs being thrown around. So it's just one of those things where I don't know what's going to happen going into the rest of 2022. Obviously, we're almost 1/4 of the way there once we're done with March. But I do get excited about where this game, Splinterlands, could potentially find its stride and really be ready for mass adoption by the time Rebellion comes out. And that could be maybe 12 months from now, maybe 18 months from now. I don't think that there's like a set schedule, but I can definitely guarantee. No, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said I can definitely guarantee. I definitely cannot guarantee, but I would bet so much DEC that Rebellion would not come out until Chaos Legion is fully sold. I don't know why I said I would guarantee that. I'm not. I have no idea. Okay, so moving on from that, actually that's all I really have in this video today. I was just thinking about Rebellion and what might happen once Rebellion is out, and really just because of the fact that people don't have access to a lot of the Untamed cards or are priced out of the Untamed cards, that's not going to change too much unless, again, my big caveat is unless the Chaos Legion summoners come out and they absolutely blow everybody else out of the water. Now, I think that would probably have its own issues as well, just due to the fact that there's going to be some major power creep. And it's just like, okay, every expansion is going to get so crazy until we just have a powder keg, and, you know, cards literally cannot be any more powerful once we get like 2 or 3 expansions down the road. So there has to be some kind of game balancing there. But I do expect them to be competitive, right? So that at least for the next year, or until whenever Rebellion does come out, people will not be afraid to go up against Jotun or against Kitty or against Llama or any of these monsters. And even, you know, obviously I would say Untamed. Untamed is very competitive, probably more powerful than Beta when it comes to the legendary summoners. But you know, if you have some of these older cards too, you want to make sure that the summoners that we get for Chaos Legion, the legendary summoners, are going to be competitive across the board. So that's all I have in this video today. Like I said, just a little bit of a tickle in my brain that I wanted to get out, and, you know, was thinking about in terms of like, okay, where should my expectations be for once we get modern format, once these summoners come out. And really, like, again, trying to think of it from the perspective of like the founders of the game, right? Like, okay, we had this massive growth. It's been great. And now we've jumped levels and we're probably going to stay at this top level for a while. But we're in this weird period where like the crux of the game is going to include both the newest expansion, which has 10x the cards of the previous expansion. And that's where a lot of the focus is going to be, mainly because these are the cards that most players can afford to come in and grab and level up and play with. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. I will close it out, and yeah, I will catch you all in the next video. I will see you around the game. Have an amazing rest of your day. I'm recording this on a Friday, so if you're watching this on a Friday, have an awesome weekend. And if you're not watching this on a Friday, have an awesome rest of your whatever you got coming up. I will catch you all in the next video. Damn, I said that already. I'm just like a robot now. All right, guys, have a good one. Take care.